48 hours left and deadlock in Washington continues over raising the debt limit. White House rejects House Republicans' proposal to resolve the impasse over US government shutdown. Fitch warns US could lose its AAA rating. But in India, optimistic Raghuram Rajan says economy will pick up by the year end. Says billions of dollars worth of stalled resource projects and the good monsoon season will help the economy. And Eid al-Adha being observed across the country, Business Wrap brings you a special on Islamic banking and its future in India. Hello and welcome to Doordarshan News. I am Sidhant, Sibal, and Eid Mubarak to all our viewers. As always, we have a power-packed show lined up and a special discussion on Islamic banking. But first, the top stories. Just 48 hours are left before the deadline expires, but it seems the deadlock in Washington for a solution is still far. Frantic US political attempts to avert a federal debt default has turned back to the Senate after plans in the House of Representatives collapsed. On shutdown 2, White House has rejected House Republicans' proposal to resolve the impasse over US government shutdown. Remember, today is the day 16th of the US government shutdown. Meanwhile, as the US politicians squabble, America might lose another AAA rating. Rating agency Fitch has warned that America could lose its highly coveted AAA credit rating. The US must raise $16.7 trillion debt limit by Thursday or risk default. Fitch has issued a stern warning to US lawmakers dithering in Washington over the debt ceiling. America's AAA credit rating is in jeopardy. Although Fitch tries US authorities for dragging their feet, it believes that a $16.7 trillion debt ceiling will be raised soon, quickly adding that the risk of default is elevated due to political brinkmanship. If Fitch was to actually lower the rating, it would join Standard & Poor's, which cut America to a AA during the last debt standoff in 2011. Meanwhile, in Washington, deadlock continues. Republican lawmakers in the US House of Representatives met to find a way out of the fiscal impasse. They floated a plan to reopen the federal government, partially shut down since October 1st. But the party rank and file rejected it, raising questions about what the House can pass.
There are a lot of opinions about what direction to go. There have been no decisions about what exactly we will do.
Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid claimed that Republican plans were meant to appease conservative Tea Party Republicans.
That we felt blindsided by the news from the House. I'm very disappointed with John Boehner.
The development in the House complicates the prospects for a deal, but all eyes are now on House Republicans. The Senate suspended its fiscal debates, waiting for John Boehner to hash out a plan that can pass in his own House. And the clock is ticking towards that October 17th deadline. Business Desk, DD News. An optimistic Raghuram Rajan has said that India's economy will pick up by year-end thanks to the startup of billions of dollars worth of stalled resource projects and a good monsoon season that will bolster agriculture production. The Reserve Bank of India is due to review monetary policy on October 29th, but with a rising pace of inflation, the central bank may go for a rate hike. Rajan said that India's banking system needs a better and a more transparent framework. On CAT, Rajan said that current account deficit could have been healthy but for gold imports. He said India is sitting on 30,000 pounds of gold, all of which is imported. Time for a break. Lots more on the other side, including a special discussion.
सुनो, गाड़ी की चाबी तो ले लो।
आज नो चाबी। आज से मेरा कारपूल स्टार्ट हो रहा है। सॉरी यार, लेट हो गया।
सुनो।
हाँ।
थैंक यू।
थैंक यू क्यों?
मेरी डायमंड रिंग के लिए।
डायमंड रिंग?
अब तुम कारपूल कर रहे हो इसका मतलब हर साल हम फ्यूल बिल पे 50,000 तक तो बचा ही लेंगे। अब इतने में तो डायमंड रिंग आ ही जाएगी। आखिर बात तो एक ही है ना?
कारपूल करें और सालाना 50,000 रुपए तक बचाएं। Brought to you by PCRA and Public Interest.
दिल या साथी, चाहे कुछ भी कहे, जो कॉन्डम का साथ न छोड़े वही है मुकद्दर का सिकंदर।
Now on to a special on Islamic banking. Eid al-Adha is being celebrated across the country today with special prayers in Eidgahs and mosques. Festivities coincide with the final round of Hajj pilgrimage. And we have a special program for you, as we promised in the beginning, on Islamic finance and its scope in India. Islamic banking in India is still to make its mark. In 2010, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh had actually said to the Reserve Bank to look into Islamic banking practices in Malaysia as a possible model. Financial institutions such as HSBC, Taurus, UTI, Kotak, Reliance, Bajaj Allianz and Reliance Mutual Fund have invested products that are sharia tolerant in nature. Here's a special report. Islamic banking, a term still to gain currency in India but has already made its mark around the world. Sharia prescribes how a Muslim must run his business. It forbids interest both when lending and borrowing. Investment must be based on the principle of shared risk, making lender a partner in business and not a creditor. Businesses considered immoral such as trade in tobacco, liquor, explosives and lending money for interest are excluded. The abolition of interest or riba is the most well-known principle of Islamic finance. Revenues come when both the sides share risk and reward, and investment must be backed by real goods or services. And what's more, Islamic banking isn't restricted to Muslims only. Globally, Islamic banking is thriving. Largest center of Islamic bankings are in Malaysia and West Asia. It's widespread in West as well. Almost every leading Western bank, including Standard Chartered, Deutsche Bank, Citibank and BNP Paribas, have Islamic finance windows. Islamic banking assets worldwide are worth $1.55 trillion and will cross $2 trillion mark by 2015. Islamic banking is operational in more than 75 countries around the world. During the past decade, the assets of Islamic banks have grown at an average rate of 15%. In India, only baby steps have been taken regarding Islamic banking. Chairman Financial Service Limited is the first Sharia-compliant NBFC in India. Government of Kerala has 11% stake in Chairman Financial Services Limited. TASIS, an index on the Bombay Stock Exchange, represents only Sharia-compliant stocks. Key financial laws such as the Banking Regulation Act must be altered to allow full-fledged Islamic banking in India. Indeed, if Islamic banking is unlocked, it has a potential to provide abundant funding to businesses across India. Business Desk, DD News. We are joined by Waqar Anwar, member of the Indian Center for Islamic Finance and senior journalist Shishir Sinha. Welcome to Doordarshan News. So I'll start with you. My first question is, briefly and concisely, tell me what is Islamic banking?
Islamic banking is alternative banking based on participatory concept. The financial intermediary, the bank, participates with the lender and with the borrower. Both are parties to the same. They share profit or loss. There is some asset backed on which funding is done, and then either they asset back or they do on profit loss sharing or maybe on rental basis.
But Shishir, tell me, I think that it still hasn't made its mark in India.
The problem with the banking law especially prescribes that whatsoever business you are doing as a financial activity, it should have some interest component involved into that. Islamic banking clearly says that there is no concept of interest into this structure, this product. So when you have a product like this, when the law doesn't allow that, how you can do that? And that is why there's always been a discussion. There's even the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, as you mentioned rightly in the beginning of this discussion, that he asked RBI to study Malaysian model and bring some changes.
Happen?
No, not at all. Because the problem is a political issue. It's not something which is a purely financial issue or economic issue. Unfortunately, it has become a political issue. When Kerala government started chairman NBFC, and you won't believe that chairman is acting only as an NBFC, it can't act as a bank because of the banking regulation. Even before that, there was one particular institution which was started in Kerala that was shut down by RBI because they said that you are not very transparent on interest thing. They said very clearly that we are not charging interest, but they said you should come out with the pricing thing. They said we are not charging interest, we are partner in the business, and defining the partner is not within the ambit of RBI, but in the ambit of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs.
But Anwar Saab, it's sometimes very difficult for me to fathom a bank which works without interest rate. How does this bank works when it does not charges interest? How does it keeps on balance the various NPAs, the bad debts? How does it handle?
The problem with Indian law is that we are following a system of commercial banking distinct from industrial banking. Commercial banking are providing only working capital finance, and we have industrial bank providing equity or maybe long-term debt finance. So this universal banking concept of many like Germany and other European countries, the whole thing has been solved. There should be one single agency providing both the facilities for equity financing also and for working capital financing also. So the equity financing is always on profit and loss sharing. We have the concept of development of Silicon Valley based on venture capital. The whole thing flourished, and venture capital is equity capital, participation based on equity. So equity financing is the basis of Islamic banking. When both the parties, the financier and the person taking the finance, they are participating.
So, but what about the bad debts, NPAs? How do you handle them?
The losses should be shared based on capital ratio. This is a known concept for British law. We call it Gharar versus Murray law, where profits are shared based on aggregate ratio, and losses are shared based on capital ratio. So both the parties have a capital ratio.
So tell me some global example how Islamic banking is functioning in other countries.
Take the case of Malaysia. The one popular concept is that Islamic banking is only for Muslims. But in Malaysia, the clientele is basically Chinese and they are Christians. Basically, the businessmen there are Christians. Majority of the clientele of Islamic banking in Malaysia are non-Muslims. Because the banks are serving better, the client is getting good service, they are opting for that. So, and Malaysian example is akin to us, like us. Other this Middle East countries are not like us because they have a rentier type of economy. We are production-based economy.
So, politics aside, can India follow the Malaysian example?
Of course, it can follow, and especially when you are trying to develop entrepreneurship in India. If an entrepreneur has little money, if an entrepreneur is not in a position to pay higher interest charged by various commercial bank, why can't be partnership based financial system? I will just give you an example that how does it work. We did a story, I mean my newspaper Hindu Business Line did a story on that, a detailed feature on that, and we just tried to give an example that how, like a company called A, if it wants to start a restaurant with say rupees 10 lakh capital, he puts in rupees 5 lakh of his own money and approaches B, which is a Islamic financial institutions, to pay the remaining amount. B agrees to invest rupees 5 lakh in that restaurant for rupees for a 50% in stake. Remember, Islamic finance doesn't allow more than 50% stake. Am I right, sir?
No, that is not the case.
There is not that case. But I mean, it's a unwritten principle. Usually, it's in practice that they do not do. Then rupees 5 lakh will be paid in 4 equal installment of rupees 1.25 lakh each. In the first year, profit are shared equally because, as Waqar Saab said, that profit are always on the agreed ratio, right? At the end of the year, the value of V stake will come down to rupees 3,75,000. And in this process, as the company is earning profit in 4 years.
You think that India could benefit by Islamic banking?
When you have to promote entrepreneurship, you have to have innovative financing mechanism. When you have a system of very high financing system, how an entrepreneur will go to commercial bank, will ask for money if he doesn't have anything, say a capital asset to get it mortgaged there, then how he will start his venture?
So, but critics have argued that what's the use of having a separate system in an already traditional format of banking? It's like having two systems in one unit.
So that can be done. We can have a parallel window, separate window for that. And this criticism is not valid because we have practices in different countries. Like the case of UK, the London case. We have Islamic window, Islamic bank there, and
normal commercial bank
parallel with conventional banks. We call it conventional banks. So this alternative banking is possible. You can remember that we have had several committees to assess the Islamic banking for India, and no committee has said that this system is unviable or not feasible.
I believe the last was Raghuram Rajan's
He has himself in his committee, Rajan report, we have his comment that it should be done. So all the committees agree the system is viable, the system is feasible. Only thing is the law in India doesn't permit. So law can be changed, can be adjusted.
And if I add to what he has said, if your constitution allows you to follow any religion, then why it cannot be allowed to have a particular financial system according to your religious belief and religious need? It can be done. That's not impossible. The only thing, you will have to amend your law. You will have to provide.
And you only see political hurdles in front of that.
Of course, like last time when Subramaniam Swamy filed a case against one particular institution of Kerala, and unfortunately that petition was disposed without any order, against that particular institution. Fair enough. But there is a political system. We oppose because it's belong to a particular community.
Do you see some kind of regulatory hurdles also?
That's one hurdle is there. Banking Regulation Act, you have to amend that act only. That will make possible Islamic banking. If Islamic NBFC can work, if Islamic mutual fund can work, if Islamic non-exotic derivative product can work, then why can't be a bank can?
So you tell me, what kind of financial products does Islamic bank offer?
Islamic banks offer two types of products. One is for production based units where we are sharing profit and loss also, loss sharing on capital ratio, profit on aggregate ratio. And we have another type of concept when we have the concept of installment, when asset is rented on certain value and the premium paid covers both the capital amount and the amount of rental for user effect of that item. So by suppose after 10 installment both the capital amount is paid and the asset is transferred to.
So can you little bit explain the Islamic concept of Islamic bond?
The concept of here sukuk. Sak means document, like bond. Bond also literally means document. Sukuk is the plural of sak, means document based on some asset being developed. I become owner of a part of the asset, and I am that. But that ownership is transferable. I can sell, like equity share. We are equity owners. We can sell the equity in the market, and the market may give me better than what my principal amount was. So the sukuk is the ownership right of a part of an asset, and that ownership right is transferable, sellable.
What do you see the future of Islamic banking across the world? According to some estimates, it's like $2 trillion. So where do you see the Islamic banking going?
This 15% growth which we have witnessed, we believe from ICIF and my institution, our estimate is that this will go above 20%. And a country like India will surely enter into this area.
And you think
changing.
Coming to a journalist view is always considered to be a neutral, objective one. So, sir, you tell me, will it promote inclusion, given the fact that according to some data, like 50,000 crores interests Muslims don't take, they're lying idle in Kerala banks. Will it promote? How much will it promote?
See, we have a population of almost, the Muslim population contributes almost 13%. I mean, it has a share of 13% in overall population.
But
13 to 14.
Muslim population.
Yeah,
This
13 to 14%. So, if this kind of population, if they are not getting banking according to their religious belief, if they want to go to a particular institution which also follow their religious thinking, why it can't be done. It can be done. There is a possibility. The only thing is you will have to go beyond your political thinking.
So one
go
last
beyond
question to
it.
both of you. One common thing. Tell me one good point about Islamic banking which can help the country. One.
For me, it's developing entrepreneurship, because you are getting capital at a very, very, very less amount.
And so you.
For me, this will include a population which is not bankable today. So that fund from that non-banking bankable person will come to mainstream. And then added to that is that we can expect a fund from Middle East. The flow we need for covering our right now we are talking about direct investment capital required. That capital can be brought in through this mechanism of Islamic banking.
Thank you so much, Anwar Saab, Shishir sir. Eid Mubarak to both of you.
Thank you.
So that was a special on Islamic banking. Hope you liked it. Now, more news in our business wrap. Former Coal Secretary P.C. Parekh, who has been named in the latest FIR filed by CBI in coal block allocation case, has refuted charges of conspiracy, asserting that there was nothing wrong in government decisions. He claimed that the CBI has been unable to make a distinction between bona fide decisions taken in public interest and wrong decisions. Industrialist Kumar Mangalam Bilda, former Coal Secretary P.C. Parekh are among those booked by CBI in connection with alleged irregularities in the allocation of 2 coal blocks in Odisha 8 years ago.
So there is absolutely nothing wrong in the decision. So to my mind, I don't know why CBI has thought that there is a conspiracy.
Arunendra Kumar will be the new chairman of the Railway Board, which had remained headless since June 2013 after the superannuation of Vinay Mittal. Arunendra Kumar's tenure runs till December 2014. Arunendra Kumar was presently holding additional charge of acting chairman. Kumar also holds a record of longest live TV interview by a railway officer on national TV channel. The All India GSM subscribers increased by 4.41 million in September 2013, according to data released by the Cellular Operators Association of India. Total number of GSM subscribers as of September 2013 stood at 678.82 million. Airtel recorded the maximum subscribers at 193.39 million. It was followed by Vodafone with 156 million and Idea with 127 million. The European Union is hosting a major India-focused business summit in Brussels today. The summit, a Trade and Investment Partnership Summit, is being held at the European Parliament. It's organized by the Brussels-based Europe-India Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with Eurochambers and Indian Chamber of Commerce. The summit is the largest business event in context of India and European business relations since 2013. ITP Technology, which sells AOC brand products, today launched a 23-inch Full HD 3D TV priced at 19,990 rupees. It's also India's first smallest 3D television. It was launched by actor Soha Ali Khan. The TV is equipped with a Dream surround sound that creates a truly immersive surround sound experience. The Eco display of TV has an exclusive Eco Power saving function, thus making it more efficient than traditional ones, almost 40%. The much anticipated initial public offering by microblogging site Twitter is likely to hit the US stock markets on November the 15th. Twitter has disclosed plans to raise up to $1 billion from its proposed initial public offer in its initial registration form with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Coca-Cola recorded 181 billion servings in the third quarter. The world's largest software maker said it shipped out that amount between July and September. Consumers also snapped up other Coca-Cola soda brands, teas and water despite a challenging summer. Disappointing news for Apple fans. Apple decided to discontinue the current hero, the iPhone 5. iPhone 5 is suddenly disappearing off shelves and the phone will soon be history. For the first time in history, Apple has decided to completely bump off a product off the list instead of giving it a reasonable price cut. iPhone 5 did not bring any drastic changes, and the Apple Maps debut was a failure. Along with iPhone 5, iPhone 4 too has been handed a pink slip. Apple has poached BlueBerry's chief in an attempt to restore Apple's shine. BlueBerry CEO Angela Arundhatis, who rebuilt the British luxury brand, her approach was to embrace digital innovation, build a strong online business, and tap Chinese and Latin American markets. Now, Apple is hoping she can do the same at the world's most valuable technology company. New name for the historic paper, the first edition of the International New York Times has come out. It used to be International Herald Tribune, but has been rebranded now. It competes with the Financial Times and the European edition of the Wall Street Journal. It still has a global print circulation of about 227,000 copies. And the youngest person ever to win the Booker was announced today. New Zealand author Eleanor Catton won the 2013 Man Booker Prize for English fiction for her novel The Luminaries. At 28, the novelist has become the youngest winner in the award's 45-year-old history. The book about the 19th century New Zealand gold rush was described by the judges as dazzling and clever. Well, that's all in this edition of Business Wrap. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.